Sound? Speed. Rolling. What's going on, film fans? How are we? How are we all doing? Is everyone surviving this heat wave if you're here in the UK? I'm struggling. I am sick as a dog at the moment, so illness combined with the heat wave. Yes, I'm struggling, but I made a commitment to making content, so I'm here. I'm going to do a slightly different episode this time. I'm not going to do a film like analysis on a particular, like one particular film, because like I say, I'm sick as a dog. I am suffering, so at least I'm doing something. But what I am going to talk about is the lay of the land for what the cinema landscape is going to look like for the rest of the year. We're getting into summer blockbuster time now. We've had Toy Story 3 has come out, Supergirl, new Jackass movie. There's a new Scary movie. It's looking like a busy year, like a very busy year. So I just want to talk about a few of the projects that are up and coming that I am particularly looking forward to. So we're near the end of June now, so there's not really much point me talking about what's been slated for June. Like I say, you got some big hitters in there. You got like the Supergirl movie, which I haven't seen yet. I'm a little bit superhero fatigued. I won't lie. Bear with me 1 second. Homemade iced latte because it's hot. Yummy. I'm a little bit superhero fatigued, man. Marvel was sort of really like taking it out of me with if I care or not for superhero movies these days. There are a few caveats, like the Robert Pattinson Batman sequel. I will be one of the first in line for that because that was the first Robert Pattinson Batman movie was very, very, very good. I have done an episode analysing that. It's already in the channel a couple of years ago. Please do check that out. So I'll be first in line for that. Matt Reeves directing again, I believe. But that's not scheduled for any time this year. I'm just talking about superhero movies in general, fatiguing me a little bit. The James Gunn Superman movie, was a good movie. It was definitely a good blockbuster movie. It was definitely a lot of fun. There was a lot of action and bright colours and, it was an entertaining superhero movie, but, did it do anything particularly groundbreaking? Not really. And when I say something like groundbreaking, I just mean you remember how impactful Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight was when that came out? That changed the game for superhero movies. Batman Begins was good. Batman Begins is a very good movie, but The Dark Knight was earth-shattering when that came out. And yeah, there was a lot of hype and press and mystique and everything around poor old Heath Ledger, R.I.P. And that, retrospectively, this isn't meant to sound rude, but I'm not sure if maybe that did a lot of the heavy lifting, marketing-wise, because of the mystique of the Joker, someone played a character so insane that they drove themselves to tragedy. I feel like maybe it did do a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to marketing that film, but that's not to insult the film and say that it was only off of the back of Heath Ledger. His performance in that is, we don't need to say anything on that. Everyone knows that's one of the best performances that's ever been committed to film. There's a thing on my screen and it's bugging me. And no, it's not me. Haha. But that, I think what that did is what The Dark Knight did was it started that wave of adding realism to superhero movies and grounding things in reality a little bit more, which we hadn't really had for quite a while. And in a way that's kind of become detrimental. It's not Chris Nolan's fault. He's just doing his thing with his vision. But it did feel like there was almost a sort of like need amongst superhero movies to prove that they could be grounded in reality. And that is something quite fun about James Gunn's newest Superman movie, was that it clearly didn't give a fuck about that and was just like, no, this is a fantastical alternate reality of sorts, alternate from our reality, I mean. Where you have all these aliens and other planets and portals to other dimensions and all that kind of stuff. It was good fun. It was really good fun. But on that note, was it doing anything particularly different or that we hadn't really seen before? I don't know. I don't think it did. But it was still good, by the by. So yeah, this new Supergirl one, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard mixed things. I've heard Millie Alcock is very good in it. Millie Alcock being Supergirl. Most people may know her from like the first half of season 1 of House of the Dragon, where she plays, is it Rhaenyra Targaryen? The younger version of her, and then spoiler alert for halfway through the season, it's not really a spoiler of House of the Dragon season 1, but there's a time jump, and then that role is taken over by Emma Darcy, who I worked with briefly on set, and they are an absolute dream. What a lovely human. So yeah, that was that. So let's look at July. What's coming up in July? Oh, and I didn't realise that Toy Story 5 had come out. I'm recording this on the 27th, and I believe Toy Story 5 came out on the 26th. And what I will say about Toy Story 5, I haven't seen it. I guarantee you it's unnecessary, because Toy Story 4 was unnecessary as hell. Toy Story 3 was such a good conclusion to that trilogy. I basically don't consider Toy Story 4 a movie. It's a fan movie, in my opinion. It's like something that someone did because they wanted to make something for the... It's like if someone made a fan movie for Lord of the Rings. Actually, you know that Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum, is coming out soon-ish. Or at least it's in production at the moment. There was a fan movie of that exact story, the Aragorn Hunt for Gollum, years ago. You can probably find this on YouTube. I'm talking like 15 odd years ago. That fan movie was on there. I remember watching it like time ago. So I treat Toy Story 4 like that. Like it's just a fan add-on that someone made because they loved those characters and wanted to like make a story with them. Because that's such a good trilogy. 1, 2, and 3, the way that 3 finishes and the emotional roller coaster it takes you through. Like, I didn't see it in the cinema. I didn't see Toy Story 3 until it was the Christmas after it had come out. So say, I can't remember when Toy Story 3 came out, but say it came out in like the summer of 2014 or whatever. I didn't see it until like Christmas 2014, if that makes sense. I don't know if 2014 was the year it came out. I don't remember, and I can't be bothered to check. But I remember watching it with my family at Christmas, and my sister had seen it, and I think maybe my parents had seen it. And my sister was like, oh my God, I can't believe you haven't seen this yet. It's amazing. And then obviously by that, this is going to be a spoiler for Toy Story 3. So if you haven't seen it, fucking sort your life out, go watch it. That scene at the end where they're on that conveyor belt that's just pushing them. They're in a dumpster. If you don't remember, they're in like a big waste disposal facility, and they're on a conveyor belt, which is taking them towards like a furnace, a big sort of fire pit to burn all the rubbish, and very environmentally friendly. That's that moment where they're like scrambling and fighting and trying to get away, and then they sort of just all look at each other one by one and hold each other's hands. I'm getting emotional talking about it now. And they're all looking in each other's eyes, and they accept their fate because they're with the people that they love, and the toys that they love, and they're together, and that's the family that's been fighting to stay together for the last 3 movies. And obviously they were fighting to stay with Andy, the main kid, but the whole point of that movie is that like Andy moves on and the toys must move on as well. So now they know that they don't have Andy anymore. They're sort of like purposeless, but they have each other, and the acceptance of their fate that they're going to die, but at least they're going to die together. Oh, mate, when I watched that with my family, I was like bawling my eyes out. It's one of the most powerful things I've ever seen on film. And yeah, it might be powerful because it's carrying the weight of an entire trilogy up to that point. It's probably harder to do something as powerful within a single standalone movie. Still, you got to stick the landing, right? If you're making a trilogy, you still got to stick the landing. So why would you then just like undo all of that fantastic storyline construction and payoff by making a fourth one that nobody asked for? Well, the only people that asked for it were the higher ups at Disney that just wanted to cash grab and continue to line their pockets. And I think it's to the detriment of the franchise. You know? But hey ho, there we go. That's that point made. So I will probably see Toy Story 5 because I'm a glutton for films. So I'll get round to it at some point. And I'll try and watch it with an open mind. And yeah, like Toy Story 4 was all right. It was a pretty good movie. If it was a standalone movie, yeah, sure, it would be pretty good. But like, it pales in comparison to the rest of the trilogy, especially when it's treading all over what a fantastic finish Toy Story 3 gave us. So, yeah, who cares about Toy Story 5? All right, let's get into the July slate. Oh God, Minions and Monsters. I know that I'm not the target audience for the Minion movies, so it's silly for me to sit here and say that we don't need them, but surely they're beating a dead horse at this point, or flogging a dead horse. What's that expression? They're just over-egging the pudding on that one, surely. But, you know, kids are going to love it and kids are going to pay to see it, so it is what it is. The Invite. Oh, yes. This is that Edward Norton, Seth Rogen, Olivia Wilde, Penelope Cruz movie. Directed by Olivia Wilde. I didn't realise that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so this looks like one of those kind of not Kramer versus Kramer. What was that movie with the guy from the 40-Year-Old Virgin? Jesus Christ, Steve, the guy from The Office. What's his name? Oh shit, the bed. I'm gonna have to IMDb it. Sorry guys, at the best of times, my ADD permits me, or prevents me, sorry, from like fully recollecting everything all the time, even though sometimes I'm like an encyclopedia for it. But combined with being ill right now, I'm struggling. Steve Carell is his name, and I haven't even started typing yet. So Steve Carell, he did a movie with my man from Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained, like the best German actor that there's ever been. Oh my God, why can't I remember his name? He's one of the goats. Either way, the point I'm trying to make is they did this film together where it was like two couples arguing over like I think something had happened with their kids in school. And you know, it's one of those movies where it's all based on like conflict and subtext and kind of mind games between the two and gaining the upper hand socially. That's the kind of vibe I get from The Invite, having only sort of shortly watched a trailer. So it looks like it will be quite a good fun ride. Along those kind of lines. Oh shit, there's a Nirvana movie coming out. Bloody love Nirvana. I was obsessed with them as a kid. Oh wait. No, it's not a real Nirvana movie. I'll have to look into that one later. See what that's about. What else we got coming out? Oh yeah, the Moana live action movie that nobody asked for. Apparently it's a literal shot-for-shot remake of Moana. Like, why would you bother? Why would you bother? No one asked for it. And also, like, did Dwayne Johnson need to do it again? He's like the most highest sorry, that was a stupid phrasing. He's the highest earning actor or highest grossing actor and all that for like several years now. He's always topping the billing charts. Did he need to do that? Did he need the money? Surely there could have been some other like Polynesian actor, up and coming actor that like could have done that. Because like Dwayne's already done it. That's a silly cash grab for me. With all these live action Disney remakes, I heard that the reason they started doing them was because, do you know how IPs work? IPs being intellectual property. Legally, they have an expiry date on the rights to those. So in the case of Disney, they would have had the rights to the IP of The Lion King, and then eventually those rights, they become, I think they become public access, or they come up for like not debate. They become like other people can bid on them basically, and buy them and claim ownership of them. I believe that's how it works, right? So what the point of Disney doing a live action remake of something like The Lion King is to basically reset the timer on those IP rights expiring. So, they get another however many years worth of owning that franchise or that intellectual property. So I kind of get it why you would want to do a live action remake of some of the older ones like The Jungle Book, The Lion King. Did they do they did do a Snow White one, didn't they? And people got mad about it. The Snow White and the Dwarf thing was kind of stupid. Obviously, they got 7 dwarfs, right? Everyone knows that. Was it happy, grumpy, sleepy, dopey? Whatever. Who cares? Why did they not cast dwarfs, like real, actual dwarfs, little people? Why did they not do that? Why did they... I remember hearing Peter... Okay, I can't talk about this. I'm 6'1". I've got no right to talk about what rights, or preferences the dwarf community should have. I've got a couple of dwarf friends, but I know that I'm not in a position to speak with any authority on this. This is just my opinion. But I believe Peter Dinklage of Game of Thrones fame, Tyrion Lannister, another Game of Thrones reference in this podcast. There we go. I believe he spoke out against the idea of casting dwarfs in that movie because he was coming from the point of view of hey, we're real people as well. We shouldn't just be continuously cast as these kind of mythical creatures or mythical parts or whatever like that. It's a bit insulting. I believe that's where he's coming from. I'm not trying to speak for him. That's my understanding of what I've heard him say in interviews or read him say in interviews. However, I'm also of the opinion that he is a very successful actor and he's elevated himself to a position where he gets to pick and choose a lot of his roles. An up-and-coming actor, in this case an up-and-coming actor who is a dwarf, would probably jump at the opportunity to be cast as one of the co-leads in a fucking Disney movie. That would be a huge stepping stone on an up-and-coming actor's career. I don't want to necessarily... I'm an actor as well, for those who don't know. I'm not a famous actor by any means, and my goal isn't to be famous, by the way. My goal is just to work and act. But, so, what's a good example I can use for myself? Okay, yeah, here's one. I'm a vegan, right? Don't hold it against me. And whatever. So I'm a vegan. I would... If I wouldn't do an advert for McDonald's or KFC or something like that. I've told my agent I'm not doing any of that. But if I was cast in something where I had to be anti-vegan, but it was I don't know, a Chris Nolan movie or something, yeah, I'm going to go do that because it's just acting and it's going to be an elevation of my career and a bigger stepping stone moving forward. Do you see the point I'm making? So I feel like Disney took away 7 potential massive roles for the dwarf community and replaced them with fucking CGI characters. That's way more insulting, surely. Anyway, like I say, I'm not really in a position to talk about that. That's just my opinion. I just think Disney's being a bit weird with all of this stuff. But like, Moana came out, like the original animated Moana. That can't be more than a decade old, can it? Let's have a little. It's exactly a decade old. Why remake it? Anyway, and then we got an Evil Dead movie coming out on the same day. These new Evil Dead movies absolutely slap, and I say that including the one that came out in, I think it was 2013. It was a remake of the original Evil Dead. That is a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, and yeah, there'll be some people that, you know, the original to them is sacred. The Sam Raimi ones with Bruce Campbell and all that, they're completely sacred to them and no one can touch them. And all right, yeah, fair enough. You're allowed to have that opinion, sure. But the 2013 Evil Dead is so good. It has some creepy ass moments in it. There's a bit where the main girl who, spoilers by the way, the main girl who sort of is the first one to fall under that kind of demonic possession, they lock her in the cellar, and then one of the people falls down into the cellar somehow, probably just from making stupid horror movie decisions, as people are wont to do. And when she sort of comes to, she's gone a bit unconscious, whatever, comes to, and there's like the faintest bit of like moonlight popping through the floorboards from above them. And then the possessed girl is like slowly creeping towards the girl that's just fallen in the cellar, and you just sort of slowly see her face like becoming more and more visible as it moves towards her and starts to get exposed by the moonlight shining through. And I remember watching that in the cinema and being like proper creeped out. And then it's also got some real like gut churning violent moments in it. Like there's an excessive use of nail gun in that film. There's a real intense use of it. I believe it's a crowbar, and a guy, one of the ones who's possessed by the demons, is hitting this guy with a crowbar, and he like puts his hand up to try and stop her, and she like hits him in between the middle of the fingers, and it like splits his hand open, and it's like, whoa baby, it's hard to watch. And then the other Evil Dead one that came out, what was that one called? It's the one in the block of flats, where you just have this block of flats, sort of slowly dissolving into hell. That was a really good one because they did a lot of really cool narrative choices. Like, so if you're not familiar with the Evil Dead franchise, it has the Book of the Dead, which is like this demonic book where when you read passages from it, you bridge a connection between like the demonic world and the human world, and then these demons start coming over and possessing people and wreaking havoc, right? So in the original Evil Dead and in the remake, that's how shit starts hitting the fan, to put it bluntly. But in the one that's in the block of flats, I think it's called Evil Dead Rise, I believe, they get around that by having a vinyl where some like priest or something has recited the incantation, or whatever you call it, the spell in the book, and recorded it onto this vinyl. And then this kid who is really into his vinyls and making music and that kind of stuff ends up playing it, and that's how they then sort of summon the demons. And that was a really good way around doing it, because like in the original Evil Dead and in the remake, you basically just have like a kind of nerdy guy who knows a bit of Latin and makes a stupid decision to like start reading from this book, and then, you know, lo and behold, he opens the gates to hell, or whatever it is. So instead of just having like a copy and paste character doing the exact same thing who just happened to take a bit of Latin in school, they get around it with that vinyl, which is a really, really cool idea. And then there's some real inventive, we'll say, like inventive and unique ways of sort of killing people off in that film as well. I will say that, like, a lot of horror movies and stuff, there's a lot of them that just copy and paste. It'll be a dude with a knife or a dude with a chainsaw or whatever, and you've seen it all before. It's not doing anything new. But stuff like The Terrifier, of which I have Terrifier 3 reaction in the feed. If you haven't seen that, check that out. You'll see how squeamish I am. And like the Evil Dead movies and stuff, there's a lot of invention and a lot of unique ways of putting people through the ringer, we'll say. So I'm interested in seeing this new Evil Dead one. I don't think I've seen a trailer for it because, like I've said on previous podcasts, if I'm already invested in the franchise or the director or the cast, or if I've seen like the plot line, you know, like the single sort of line or two that advertises the movie. Like in this case, on the Evil Dead Burn one, it says, after the loss of her husband, a woman seeks solace with her in-laws. As one by one they transform into deadites, she comes to discover that the vows she took in life survive even in death. So that kind of like one or two sentences that, I can't remember what it's called, tagline or something, I don't know. Yeah, those things enough can get me into a film. Like, for example, I don't think I've seen a full trailer for Chris Nolan's The Odyssey yet because I'm already in. It's a Chris Nolan movie. It's got Matt Damon in it. It's got Lupita Nyong'o in it. You know, it's got Rob Pattinson in it. I'm already sold, you know? So, yeah, I'm up for the Evil Dead one. Who's directing that? Sebastian Vinicic. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Oh, this will be only a second movie for a full feature for this person. His first full feature being a film called Infested back in 2023. What's this about? Residents of a rundown French apartment building battle against an army of deadly, rapidly reproducing spiders. Yeah, okay, I have heard of this movie. Spider movies are making a comeback. We had Sting recently, which I haven't seen yet, and I'm not referring to Bilbo and Frodo's sword from The Lord of the Rings. There was a film called Sting about a spider. There's this one, Infested, and then there's a film called Don't Move, which is coming out soonish, I believe, and that's again about spiders. Spider movies and dinosaur movies are making a comeback. So obviously the Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World franchise is ever existing, and the Jurassic World movies should probably fucking stop at this point. I have strong opinions about those movies, but I won't go into that now. But then you had Primitive War, again, a film I've already done in the feed. Go check that out. It was done about a month ago. No, a couple of weeks ago. Doesn't matter. Go check it out. It's good. It's a good film. And then there's a new dinosaur movie where I can't remember what it's called, but basically a suburban neighborhood gets transported back in time, and then dinosaurs are there. And there's like a couple of the dinosaur movies are coming back. Spider movies are coming back. Hollywood goes in cycles. We had zombie movies done to death. Now we're getting spiders and dinosaurs. So cool. Yeah, fine. Good. What else we got coming up? The Odyssey, of course, the Odyssey. I don't need to say a lot about that. I've seen a lot of people whinging online about that. Oh, the armor doesn't look historically accurate. Yeah, that's because the armor that was historically accurate looks fucking terrible. So, who cares? And the Odyssey, if you weren't aware, is a fictitious fucking story. It's not based on fucking reality. Well, it might be loosely based on reality, but it's not actually a reality. So, of course, they can take creative liberties with the armor design and that kind of thing. Then I've heard people moan about things like Achilles being played by what's his name? Sorry, bear with. I'm gonna have to quickly double check. But Elliot Page, sorry, I didn't even get there. I remembered it all by myself. Elliot Page is apparently playing Achilles, which isn't confirmed yet on IMDb. I've just seen it's not confirmed. It just says Elliot Page. It doesn't say what part they're playing. He's playing, sorry. But people go, oh, I've seen people online be like, oh, Achilles is meant to be like the pinnacle of masculinity. Why is a trans actor playing Achilles? And Elliot Page looks so small and frail. Like, why are they cast as Achilles? And clearly, the people with that opinion have only seen Troy featuring Brad Pitt and Eric Bana and Orlando Bloom. And they're basing their entire assumptions about Achilles on Brad Pitt. Yeah, Brad Pitt is a beautiful, strong, muscular man and is one of those sort of like pinnacles of masculinity within Hollywood. But that's not an accurate depiction of Achilles according to the Odyssey. In stories of Achilles, he's even done stuff like dressing as a woman to avoid going to battle. I think that says all I need to say about that. So shut the fuck up, enjoy the film, because you know it's going to be good. Fucking Chris Nolan, the man doesn't miss. Insomnia, Dark Knight trilogy, Prestige, was it? Was that one of his? Point is, he doesn't miss, right? I can't remember his whole filmography right now, because like I said, my brain isn't functioning properly, but the man doesn't miss. Spider-Man, Brand New Day. That's coming out at the end of July. I am, like I said, I'm a little bit Marvel fatigued, but I am excited for that, because Spider-Man was always one of my goats growing up as a kid. My two favourite Spider-Man villains is Carnage and Tombstone, and I heard the other day that apparently Tombstone is going to be in this film, which is big, because I never thought they would put Tombstone in a live-action film. And I'm a little bit gutted about it, because I always said that I would want to be the first actor to play Carnage or Tombstone, and now Woody Harrelson beat me to Carnage on the Venom sequel. Which, by the way, I love Woody Harrelson. Man was way too old to play Carnage. Just, I'm going to leave that there. And now apparently they're doing Tombstone already, but you know, is what it is. I'm looking forward to it. I thought they were going to go down the man-spider route, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not just doing a little play on words to be facetious. Man-Spider was a like arc within the Spider-Man franchise. Bear in mind, I've never read one of the comics. I just grew up watching Fox Kids as a child, which would play like the X-Men cartoons and the Spider-Man cartoons and those kind of things. And to my understanding, they were like pretty accurate comic to screen interpretations. So the Man-Spider arc was where Spider-Man, I can't remember how or why, but he gets bitten by the spider, and then he evolves into these kind of Spider-Man powers where he can stick to walls, he's really strong, and he can can't shoot webs, he makes the webs that he can then shoot. So Man-Spider is something happens with his cells, and that evolution like ramps up, and then he ends up like covered in hair, he gets 8 eyes, he gets additional limbs that grow out of the side of him so that he has 8 limbs, he gets the big like pincer fang things that spiders have, and he just Google Spider-Man, Man-Spider. He's terrifying. So in the trailer for Brand New Day, there's a moment where his eyes go completely black, and I was like, oh shit, are they gonna do Man-Spider? That would be really, really, really cool, and I will be first in line to buy a ticket if that is the case, because that is taking a big swing. That is doing something brave and bold. However, I don't think that's been confirmed that that's the case. So it's probably just going to be another run-of-the-mill Spider-Man movie where he starts out street level crime or whatever, and then the big villain shows up. He fights him for a bit. He probably gets his ass kicked and has a moment of self-doubt and a moment of defeat and of, I can't do this. And then he's going to rally with all his friends and overcome the bad guy at the end. And I guarantee you that's a point-for-point fucking execution of how that film plays out. It's how fucking all the superhero movies play out. You know? They're good, then they struggle, and then they win at the end. Do something new, do something original. Anyway. What else we got? A new Insidious movie. Okay. The Insidious movies are pretty good. I've only seen a couple of them, but they're pretty good. I like... is this a Blumhouse one? Is Insidious doing Blumhouse? Sorry, is Blumhouse doing Insidious these days? Let me Google that. Blumhouse Productions. Oh, my keyboard's decided to not work, so I can't Google that right now. Cool. Anyway, Cyote versus Acme. Yeah, so we're getting the Roadrunner movie, essentially. All right. Or the Cyote movie, I should say. Fucked that one up, didn't I? Cool. Colony. What's that? Is that an alien movie? I believe it is, isn't it? Nope, it's not. Okay. Ooh. All right, I'm going to have to check that out. I'm going to have to watch a trailer for that. What is this? Korean film? Yeah, Korean film. Okay, dude, Korean cinema fucking slaps. If you haven't dabbled in Korean cinema, the absolute first port of call for yourself would be Old Boy. And then Parasite. Which I think is the same director. Is it Jung Bo? God, I can't remember his bloody name now. I'm pretty sure it's the same. Oh yeah, the fucking keyboard doesn't work. Let me try this one. I don't want to fuck up his name. Bong Joon-ho, sorry. I was close. My bad. Yeah, he did Parasite. Oh, and he did The Host as well. The Host is so good. Oh, he didn't do Old Boy. My mistake. But The Host is amazing. The Host is a monster movie. This big, like, semi-aquatic, amphibious, like, monster just wreaking havoc. It's so good. If you get a chance to watch The Host, I can't recommend it enough. Snowpiercer, there was another one of his. Great film. It's got Chris Evans in it. It's the one about the train. The world has fallen into like an apocalyptic winter. It's like minus 1,000 degrees outside. So if you go outside, you just freeze to death and die or whatever. And the only surviving people on the planet are all on this train that is somehow continuously running on a track. The track never freezes. There's a few plot holes, but the film is very, very good. And the film is like a study on the class system. You have the people at the front of the train with all the wealth and all the money, and then the people at the back of the train with fuck all, and it's very, very good. And then, of course, he also did Parasite, which won the Oscar for Best Movie. And if you haven't seen Parasite, do yourself a favor. Parasite is not a horror movie. It's like a psychological thriller kind of thing, is probably how I would categorize that. But it has one of the most terrifying shots in cinematic history, in my opinion. I won't say what it is in case you haven't seen it, and if you can't remember it and you have seen it, I'll just rewatch it. But all I'll say is, there's a kid in the film, and the kid sees something at night when he's walking around the house at night when he should be asleep. That's all I'll say. The shot of from the kid's perspective of seeing the thing that scares him, genuinely one of the creepiest shots ever. Very, very, very good. Who directed Old Boy? I feel like I should remember this. I'm so sorry. Park Chan-wook. Sorry, dude. Fucking hell, I did know that. Gee, if you haven't seen Old Boy, that's one of the best films ever made. Like, hands down, one of the best films ever made. Do not, under any circumstances, watch the American remake with Josh Brolin. I like Josh Brolin, and I like who's the South African actor? Cyote Coldplay, I think that's his name, is also in it. They're both very good actors. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. It just, what it does is it spoils the entire story of Old Boy for you, but executes it in a very substandard way. Just watch the original Old Boy. Choi Min-sik in Old Boy, that's the lead actor, Choi Min-sik. His performance, there isn't a lot better performances in all of cinema than that man in that film. Holy shit. Another great film that he did, it's called I Saw the Devil, and I would recommend that as well. It's not for the faint of heart, that one. Choi Min-sik plays a serial killer who, mild spoiler, but it is at the start of the film, he kills a policeman's wife. And then the whole rest of the film is a cat and mouse chase, psychological thriller type vibes of the policeman not only tracking him down, but getting revenge. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but what I will say is it has a very, very interesting sort of a shift in not in who you root for, but like they paint Choi Min-sik at the start of the film as this like evil bastard, a proper piece of shit serial killer. And then the police officer kind of has to like fight fire with fire and become a bit of a bad person in his quest for revenge. And I remember watching it with a friend in uni years ago. I was in uni years ago. And both of us looked at each other when it finished and we were like, I can't remember if I said it or if she said it, but we both agreed completely that we were like, I don't think I've ever felt that level of sympathy for a serial killer. That's all I'll say. I won't say why we felt sympathy. God, that film fucks with you. It fucks with you. Because I'm looking at myself in the mirror after that going, do I actually feel sympathy with that son of a bitch? That son of a bitch was pure evil. But I was concerned for him. Anyway, I won't say too much. But that fucking Korean cinema is so goddamn good. So good. So check all that out if you can. All right, what else we got? Cliffhanger, is that a remake of the Sly Stallone? I need to Google that. Is Cliffhanger 2026 a remake of the Sly Stallone movie? Because not a direct remake, but rather a contemporary character-driven reboot and reimagining of Sly Stallone's 1993 action classic. I remember watching Cliffhanger. It was on TV. I have no idea how long ago I watched it, but it was on TV, and I remember looking at the blurb or the description, because my parents had Sky and I was watching it at my parents' house, so you could see like the description of the film before you click on it. And I remember thinking like, this is going to be a piece of shit, but there was nothing else on. It seemed like an easy sort of cheesy action movie to just sit down and like, yeah, whatever. Surprisingly good. Surprisingly good film. Parodied by Ace Ventura 2, I believe, right at the start when he's on that like zip line I think he's trying to save a raccoon and the raccoon falls. It's a direct parody of Cliffhanger, but Cliffhanger's good, man. Do we need a remake of it? Probably not. But there we are. That's Hollywood for you. What else do we have coming up? Oh yeah, the Dogstars. Yeah. That could be good. Again, a Josh Brolin movie. It is a Ridley Scott movie. People are sleeping on Ridley Scott these days. The amount of people I hear say that he hasn't made a good movie since Gladiator. Like, what are you fucking talking about, man? Like, he still makes good movies. The Last Duel was awesome. If you haven't seen The Last Duel, it was the Matt Damon, Adam Driver, and what was her name? Oh, God, I sound so sexist. I can't remember the bloody woman's name. Jodie Comer. There we go. Essentially, not really mild spoilers. This is just the premise of the film. Matt Damon is married to Jodie Comer. Adam Driver sleeps with Jodie Comer, and that's putting it very mildly, because the way I don't really want to say too much, but the way the film pans out is that you basically have 3 chapters, and each chapter is from the point of view of one of those 3 characters. So like Matt Damon gets to say his side of the story and how he feels about those events. Driver gets to say his side, and then Comer gets to say her side. Very powerful film. Very powerful film. People that say Ridley Scott has lost his touch just don't fucking know shit. That film was great. House of Gucci I didn't see, to be honest. But whatever. Who cares? The Martian slapped. So there you go. American Gangster is fucking amazing. If you can, try and watch the director's cut. Always try and watch the director's cut of any film. Of any film. If you ever see that there's a film that exists and then you find out there's a director's cut version of it, watch the director's cut, because the director is the driving force behind any film. I'm not taking anything away from the other members of the cast and crew in that work on any film. The director would be lost without a good crew. Of course, you need a good crew. But a film production is, at the bottom line, is the director's vision. That's where the buck stops. It's where it should stop. But unfortunately, studios get involved, and then you get too many executive producers all trying to think, oh, what's going to be the best to get the biggest market audience in? And then you get bullshit like what they did to the Justice League movie. Whereas if you watch the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice movie, it's incredible. Same as the Zack Snyder, the film that he did as Star Wars pitch, and then Disney said no, so he just made it himself. Because that's incredible. Rebel Moon. It's called Rebel Moon. I watched the studio cut of Rebel Moon because it was the first one that came out on Netflix, and I thought it was a bag of shit. It's a fucking awful movie. And then I knew that obviously part 2 was coming out as well, and I was like, well, I ain't gonna fucking watch part 2 because part 1 was a bag of dicks. And then I heard that the director's cut of part 1 and part 2 was set to be released. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to watch part 2. I'm going to wait for the director's cut of part 1. I'll watch that, and then I'll reassess if I want to watch the director's cut of part 2. The director's cut of Rebel Moon part 1 is so good. Genuinely very good. It's got some dark, savage moments in it that aren't in the safe cut. You get to flesh out the storyline a bit more and the characters and their motives and their relationships. It's good. It's good. Always watch the director's cut of things. Always. Where was I? I was talking about Ridley Scott. Always watch the director's cut, man. Always. What else we got? Oh yeah, Resident Evil. I am hyped for this. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil franchise anyway. Even though I will be the first to admit, several of those sequel films miss the mark. Mila Jovovich is always good though. She's a great actor. But this Resident Evil movie is done by none other than Zach Krieger. Krieger? I don't know how to say your last name, but Zach Krieger. Damn it, he makes a good film. Has anyone seen Barbarian? Don't know why I pronounced it like that. Barbarian slapped. Yeah. Slapped like an abusive relationship. Sorry, that was a terrible metaphor. Barbarian is the film where a woman goes to stay in an Airbnb only to find out that it is already occupied by a man who has also booked the same Airbnb at the same time. And that's all I'll say. Because the less said about that movie, the better. I didn't know anything about that movie. I just heard that it was a very good horror movie and knew the Airbnb part of the premise. And I'm glad I didn't know shit because, yeah, that's worth a watch. Most people probably know Zach Krieger from Weapons, which, again, had Josh Brolin in it. Motherfuckers everywhere in this podcast today. That's a great film as well. I'm really interested to see what he's going to do with Resident Evil, and I saw him in an interview talk about the fact that he is a fan of the games and how the newer Resident Evil movies don't really kind of do a lot of justice to it. Like, the old school Resident Evil games, like, you had a gun with no ammo. You were pretty much by yourself. You're constantly, like, pursued by, what was the thing in number 2 that was pursuing you? In number 3, you got the Nemesis constantly chasing you down. Like, there's just this continuous threat of something that's going to find you kind of vibes. So I know he's going to do good shit with that Resident Evil movie. I am hyped for that. That's going to be the best Resident Evil movie since probably the second one that has Mila Jovovich in it. Apocalypse, I think it was called. Yeah, hype for that. Is Werewolf not coming out this year? Oh, Street Fighter is. Street Fighter's going to be quite funny. I imagine it'll be, you know, it'll just be a good tongue-in-cheek blockbuster type movie. Whalefall, again a Josh Brolin movie. Jesus Christ! But Whalefall looks kind of ridiculous. But I'm interested to see how they can make that like an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it's going to be. Interesting. If you haven't heard of Whalefall, diver gets swallowed by a whale, Pinocchio style. That's the premise of the movie, right? Interesting, eh? How do they make that entertaining? Man stuck in a gut for 2 hours. We'll see. Clayface. This is going to be interesting because this is supposedly DC's first foray into the horror genre. I'm here for it because, like I said before, I want to see some more originality with these superhero movies. I don't want this copy and paste cookie cucker I can't even speak. I don't want to see this cookie cutter nonsense. That's the phrase I was looking for. Interesting. I am interested. Interesting. What else we got? I thought Werewolf was coming out this year. Werewolf being Robbert Eggers' new movie. Robbert Eggers, the guy behind Nosferatu, The Lighthouse, The Witch, The Northman. Dude doesn't miss. Doesn't miss. All four of those films are amazing. I am hyped for the Werewolf movie. Yeah, that's going to be very good. You know it's going to be good. It is coming out. It's coming out Christmas Day. I know I'm doing Christmas Day then. Hell yeah. Let's go see a film about some fucking werewolves. Yes. God, that's going to be good. And Aaron Taylor-Johnson is leading that one. It's got Willem Dafoe in it again, Ralph Ineson. If you don't know Ralph Ineson, I guarantee if you see him on screen, you'll be like, oh, it's that dude. He pops up in a lot. Dude has the deepest voice in the world. He's in Nosferatu, I believe. Pretty sure he's in Nosferatu, but he's in The Witch. He's the father of the family in The Witch. And his voice is always the deepest voice that's ever been on films. I'm not even doing it remotely as deep as that man is. If I did some vocal warm-ups, I can get my voice pretty low, right? But I've got to do some vocal warm-ups and warm up that register to really drop it down. But even then, I think at the deepest I can go is still not deeper than Ralph Ineson or as deep as Ralph Ineson. Hell of a voice. Such a characterful voice. Oh yeah, and then of course, December 18th, you've got the Avengers Doomsday and Dune Part 3. Now, I'm not a proper comic book aficionado. So there's loads of people out there that are going to be in a better position to talk about Avengers Doomsday than me when it comes to like comic book accuracy or whatever. Having said that, I'm allowed my opinions. And this is make or break for Marvel. This is make or break. Because they took a big swing by bringing Robert Downey Jr. back. I know he's playing Doctor Doom and not Iron Man. But similarly to what I was saying about Toy Story 3 being a great cap for that trilogy and then completely going back on themselves by making Toy Story 4 and 5 and sort of ruining that crescendo, feels a little bit like that, ruining the end game crescendo of the Infinity Saga. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And how are they going to justify it? Are they going to lean into the multiverse aspect of it? What are they doing? I don't know. It's hard to say because Marvel keeps everything so secretive that we don't really know of how it's going to go. But it's going to be make or break because if this film flops and the fans don't like it, no one's going to go and see a Marvel movie again. Well, of course they will, but I bet you watch those box office numbers plummet for whatever film comes after Doomsday, if Doomsday flops. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'll watch it, but yeah. And then Dune Part 3, I believe this will be the climax, This will be the end of Denis Villeneuve and Timothée Chalamet's Dune saga. I think that's what they're saying. Even though the books continue way on beyond that, but I haven't read all of the books. I've only read the first book. My understanding of where those books go is they get pretty mental. And spoiler alert for the books, I believe Timothée Chalamet's character basically becomes this kind of all-seeing sentient worm, like one of those giant sand space worm things. Something I don't even know how or why, but that's what someone told me. So they ain't ever going to interpret that into film, are they? We'll see how it goes. I love Dune 1. I do have a Dune 1 podcast years ago in the feed. Go look up that. I really, really like that film. I think I'm the only person on planet Earth that didn't rate Dune 2 as highly as Dune 1. Most people seem to love that film. I thought it was all right, but I thought it was a little bit rushed. Maybe I need to rewatch it, but I just don't remember being as blown away by the second one as I was by the first one. The climactic action scenes seemed a bit rushed, whereas in the first one they were really earned. Yeah. I have a lot more to say about that right now. I should probably do an actual review of that movie. But there we are. That's it. I'm around close to an hour now, so I've made it to the end of the rest of the 2026 slate for films. I didn't mention all of them, obviously, just the ones that sprung to mind. If you're still with me at this point in the podcast, please do rate, review, subscribe. Give it a thumbs up, jump in the comments if you want to comment on anything I've said, continue the conversation down there. I'll respond to you down there. But yeah, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It just helps me with the algorithm reach more people. Thank you very much for your time. And remember, watch the director's cut of all the films.